least 10 minutes past already.
Okay.
Right, let's start. Are you ready?
Uh,
Let me just put this off. Okay, I'll be counting 5 to 0. So when I hit 0, then you start.
okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's session. This is Property Matters, where we discuss issues relating to a property transaction, whether it's a developed property or a developing one, or not even a developed one at all. Here we discuss everything that relates to property transaction. Any questions you may have, we are here to answer all of them. This is Property Matters, once again brought to you by Ascent Reality and supported by Ascent Radio. My name is Destiny Unuati Ijibo, and today we have a very interesting topic, and our topic for today is an insight into debt financing in real estate sector. The topic again is an insight into debt financing in real estate sector. Many persons have wondered, how do persons who are into real estate, how do they finance their big projects? Some may have this misconception that, okay, because this person is building this huge or gigantic project, this person has all the money in the world. But we are trying to understand how these persons get funds to fund all of these big projects that you see. Is it all from their pockets? Is it from their friends? Is it from an independent institution? That is what we are going to be discussing today on this under this topic that we have brought to you today, an insight into debt financing in real estate sector. Now, what is debt financing? That's what you want to ask. What is debt financing? Debt financing involves borrowing of money to be repaid at a future date with an interest attached. Now, when we are talking about debt financing, it means you as a person, you are getting some money from an independent body, not friends. Now, if friends are giving you any amount, they may not necessarily require you to pay interest. But when we are now talking about debt financing, it means it's a professional relationship between you and a lender. Now, a lender is a person who gives you the money, while you, the borrower, is one who is asking for that money to be given to you. Now, it could be in two forms. There are two forms that you repay this sum. It could be a revolving loan or installment loan. Now, we're also going to explain this as times goes on. Now, these funds that you obtain, this loan that you obtain, you use it to finance your projects, not just real estate. We are talking about debt financing generally now. You use this as a working capital for the projects that you are running. Now, it could be that you want to use it to start up a business, or you are using it to expand an already existing business. It could also be that you have a particular project. Let's, as a real estate developer, for instance, you have several project sites that you are working on at the same time, but you have some specific amounts that can finish the 3 projects. Let's say you have 3 projects at hand. You have a specific budget for the 3 projects, but what you have can only take care of 2 sites. Then you need extra money to complete the 3rd one. That is what we are discussing today. That's where you now bring in debt financing. You get certain amount from some persons to finance these projects. Now, the persons who are giving you these instruments are known as the creditors. So that's another term. We have used lender. In some instances, you see lender. In some, you see creditors. And while we used lenders and borrowers, you may also find out that some persons will use creditors and debtors. These terms, they are the same. They are used interchangeably and depending on the sector. sector by sector, they have different terms that they deem fit to be appropriate to use at that particular point in time. Now, there are terms and conditions attached to all of this loan that you are collecting from, whether so all of these persons, they give you certain terms, when to repay and how to repay, the interest rate on each of the sum that you are taking. It could be that you meet Mr. A today to obtain a certain amount because you have a particular project, and you discover that this money may not be enough for this project. You may want to obtain another loan depending on your credit worthiness. That's what will determine your ability to obtain more loans from different persons. Some persons, they are able to obtain 3-4 loans from the same institution or different institutions. It depends on your relationship with the institution or bodies that give out these loans to persons who are seeking these loans. Now, for clarity, we talked about revolving loans just now and installment loans. Now, when we are talking about revolving loans, this is a system that allows a borrower here to repay an amount that he has borrowed over a fixed period of time. Now, the way this revolving loan works is that when you borrow, let's say 50,000 naira, upon payments of that 50,000 naira, you get to borrow it again. Now, let's say you don't have the entire sum. The interest on the 50,000 naira is 1,000 naira for a period of 6 months. Now, if you repay 20,000, after you have paid 20,000 out of the 50,000, and you discover that there is need for you to get a further sum to complete the project. Let's say you had thought you could repay that debt within a certain period and still continue with the project, but you discover that you need the same money. Now you go back, you have access to the same loan. That's that same amount you have repaid to the institution that gave you the loan. You pay 20,000 out of 50,000. Now, under this revolving loan, you have the opportunity of borrowing that 20,000 that you have paid already. That's one of the advantages of having this revolving loan. Another advantage of this revolving loan, or another part of it, is that when you are using this revolving loan, once you pay a certain amount, it reduces not just the loan amount, that's the capital that you borrowed, it also reduces the interest payable. Now, let's say the interest payable on 50,000 is 1% of 50,000 per week. Once you pay 20,000 out of that 50,000, it automatically reduces the loan amount to 30,000. The interest payable will now be 1% on 30,000 per week instead of that fixed amount, which is 1% on 50,000 naira per week. So that's how revolving loan works. On the other hand, installment loan is usually for a fixed period, and the way it works is, since it's for a fixed period, if I have given you 50,000 naira, the interest is 1%. It means you are going to pay 1% on that particular sum during the entire duration. Not unlike the revolving loan, it may not necessarily give you the privilege of getting the entire sum you have paid deducted for the entire loan sum. We are using the example of 50,000. If you pay 20,000 out of 50,000 under installment loan, the interest rate remains on that 50,000, not on 30,000. That is another thing that you need to know when you are obtaining a loan on any facility that you want to complete, or any project that you have at hand that you want to use that same loan for. So you need to have an understanding with the person who is giving you this loan. I want this loan to be a revolving loan, which allows you to pay a part of it, and the interest and the loan sum reduces automatically. Now, what we are going to look at next is, what are these types of debt financing? Because we have said debt financing is a means of obtaining a loan, borrowing some money in order to help you finance projects or expand your business, as the case may be. Now, there are two types basically. We have bank loans, that's banks or commercial institutions, those who are financial institutions rather. there are some that give out loans, some may not be readily available to give out loans. There are some that are industry specific. Now, we are not going to go into details on that because we have already done something on that before now. Now, when we are talking about banks, you approach this financial institution, they give you loans, and these loans are usually short-term, and they are used to finance projects that are ready to give you immediate rewards. Now, if you are obtaining loans from financial institution because they have some other customers or clients whom they got this money from, who may call for that amount at any time, they usually do not give long-term loans. So because of that, what you have to do is, when you are obtaining loans to finance a project, you must ensure that the project you are embarking on is one that you can get your money back within a very short time. Our advice here is, if you are getting a loan to finance a project and the project is going to take a period of 6 months, then you should let the loan period or the duration to be at least 10 months, which gives you 4 months extra. That is, even if you are unable to meet up with the project within the 6 months, let's say within the next 2 months after, you can complete the project, and the cost of processing papers and getting your balance paid from the person who is giving you that contract, you still have that 2 months grace to meet up with payments. Now, you must ensure that the institution that you're also contacting to give you these loans are some institutions that are very friendly. There are some that may not give you that listening ear when you are telling them that, okay, let's have a readjustment of time when you are working on all of this. Then you should also see to it that the interest rates are favorable. It shouldn't just be because you want this sum of money to finance a project eagerly. Because of that, you jump into any contract or any interest rates that you are given. You must ensure that the interest rate that you are taking is the best available in the market. Let's say financial institution A is offering interest on that same amount you want to borrow at 20% for a year, and another company is giving you that same amount at 18%. There's another one that is giving you 15%. Look at them critically. Examine what all of these things, even if the interest rate may be lower, what about the term of repayment? Is it 6 months? Is it 7 months? Is it 1 year? So you need to put all of that into consideration before you decide which institution to go with. Not just the interest rate, but the term which you are allowed to repay. There are some, they will give you 10% interest and they will tell you have to pay back in 6 months. But you have seen that the project you are going to embark on may take 8 months to finish. How do you now raise the money to repay the amount that you are borrowing, that you are going to pay back in 6 months, whereas the project is going to take 8 months? So you must ensure that the term of the loan at least the term of the project that you are embarking on, to protect yourself. The another type of debt financing that we're going to be looking at is bonds and debentures. What is bond? Bond is that document that is issued by corporates or government institutions. It could be private companies or public companies or even government institutions issuing these bonds. It's securities, like they are assuring you that, okay, take this, I'm issuing you this letter, and I'm going to obtain this facility from you. And once I obtain this facility from you, it's an assurance that I'm going to repay. It's that acknowledgement that you owe certain amounts to some persons. The interest rate also could be agreed on. It could be secured, it could not be. There are some that are secured and there are some that are not secured. Now we are talking about debentures. Now when we are talking about debentures is that letter that is issued. You get loan facility from a particular institution. It tells you, okay, it's going to be for a particular period of time and the interest is also fixed. Now they may tell you, okay, for me to give you this loan facility, you must give me certain assets as security that you are going to repay this sum. It shouldn't be the case that, okay, your value of the value of your company is 70 million and you are borrowing the entire sum and you are going to use all your assets to secure the loan. You must run away from such contracts, you should rather go for some that may not necessarily be secured one. That is, they come and tell you, okay, you can get this amount, but it's going to be for a fixed period. We are not going to take any of your assets. Now, when they don't take your assets, it gives you that free will to go about your business. You go about your business without fear, and you always have that confidence. Okay, because these persons, they have this trust in me, they didn't have to securitize my assets, then you want to work with them over and over again. Then the benefit is that it gives you that leeway to continue to secure more loans if need be. If you have secured a loan with your company and you didn't securitize any of your assets, you may meet with party B or company B and secure same loan, and it gives you that privilege of using your assets if need be to secure your loan also. Now, when we now come to real estate, how do you use this debt financing to ensure that you grow your business or you expand your business as a real estate practitioner? One of the things you need to do is to assess your company. What are the goals? What are the short-term and the long-term goals of your company? And once you are able to ascertain this, then you can go a step further to determine persons that you can approach. It is not proper that you just go into the market and start meeting with anybody. You must understudy different companies, different financial institutions or government institutions that are giving out. There are banks or institutions like merchant banks, mortgage banks that are being created by governments and those that are owned by private individuals. These institutions have been created to ease property development. Now, you need to determine which of these institutions you are to approach. That's one thing you must do before you go into the real estate sector. I mean, debt financing, when you want to obtain loan to finance your business. And once you have done all of this, then you now ascertain the interest rate and the term for which you can repay all of this. Just as every other company may want to expand their business by obtaining loan, you also, who is in the real estate sector, you have advantage because you have banks that have been established by federal and state governments. Depending on where you are operating from, there are different authorities that have been set up to assist persons, not just private individuals who want to build their own houses. There is also an option available to companies who are also into the real estate sector. However, you must be able to show that your goal is to ensure that everyone has a home. And once you are able to show that, you might be considered as one of the persons to be given such loans to finance your business. Real estate debt is an instrument that the borrower is obliged to pay back with a predetermined repayment. Now, what this means is that once you have obtained a loan, like every other institution, there is a payment plan that will be given to you. You are to pay certain amounts, either weekly, monthly, or quarterly. Usually, most of these institutions, they require that you pay quarterly. You pay certain amount back. That gives them assurance that you are also doing well in your business. If nothing is coming in, you want to wait till the end of the term that was granted to you, then they may have some feelings that you may not be able to pay. But when you see your commitment in repaying that amount before the due date, that increases your credit score. Now, what is the advantage, or is there any benefit of obtaining loan to finance your business? Is there any advantage to debt financing in real estate sector? One of such advantages is it allows you to have absolute control of your business. That is, you continue to have control over your business, the management, you make all the decisions in your company. What happens is you have obtained a loan from individuals or corporate bodies. Their own is pay back our money on an agreed date and pay the interest as also agreed. Their own is just get back our money. They are not interested in how you run your company. That is one advantage of debt financing. So once you know that you have money coming in from somewhere and you still have the free will to determine the direction your company must go, though not to the detriment of the interest of the persons you have obtained money from, then you can go ahead to do that which you are set out to do from the very onset. Then ownership is retained in the borrowers. Now, like I said earlier, you don't only have control over the company, you also have ownership of the company. You retain ownership. There are some loans that you may take. It tends to change you in such a manner that you seem not to have control, you seem to have lost ownership. But in debt financing, you only take out loans, but you remain the owner and you continue to enjoy control over the company. Another thing is it allows and aids the purchase of property without payments on an upfront of the entire purchase price. Now, if you are purchasing a property, knowing that you are going to get some amount from somewhere, it gives you that privilege. Okay, let's say you are even a private developer, for instance, you pay certain amount, and with the promise that you are going to pay that which is left on a later date. Let's go this way. You have individuals who have large expanse of land. Now, they are not going to give you any loan in this instance because they don't have any loan to give to you, but you are purchasing from them. So what you want to do now is, okay, I'm going to pay certain amounts now as a deposit, as the case may be. I'll pay the rest on a later date. That gives you that energy to go out there to ask more persons who may want to invest, who may want to buy property from you as well. That's for developers. As you are developing a part of it, persons are buying, then you also have the finances to pay those whom you have purchased this property from. The other advantage is the interest payable on the loan is sometimes tax deductible. Now, if you have obtained a loan from a company, when tax is being calculated, the tax will not be calculated on the loan that you have taken. That's one way you can manage your business effectively. The tax you are going to pay on your company's credits is based on what you have. Now, if it is discovered that certain amount on your account book is based on what you have borrowed, then that amount cannot be touched when they are calculating tax that is payable. And it's also possible that the money that you have borrowed, those persons will pay certain tax on it as well. So you enjoy that privilege of having something kept for you, even when you have huge amounts or something that seems to be huge in your account. That's one of the advantages that you have. Repayment terms of loan for debt financing on property can be more flexible than other types of loan. Now, when they discover that it is on a property, the loan that you are taking out is on a property, and property is always growing, and they are sure that property is not something that can be easily moved, or it's not even movable. Once you build a house somewhere, it's not a floating house that one will say, okay, it's here today, it will not be here tomorrow. But because it is a fixed asset, persons are more eager to trust you, or are more likely to trust you that you are going to repay, because they know you are not going to run away tomorrow, because what they see there is something that is permanently fixed to the land. That is another advantage that you get to enjoy as a property developer or a real estate practitioner. But are there disadvantages? We always say that whatever has advantage has disadvantage as well, but that shouldn't deter you. One of the disadvantage is when you have poor management, or you don't have the right skills to manage the resources at your disposal. One thing is to get access to loan. If you have access to loan facility, what do you do with that amount that you have secured? How do you use them? Do you use them properly? There are some persons, once they see certain amounts in their account, buying things that are not necessary. You must have that personal discipline for you to have success in the real estate sector. Now, if you don't have the required skills, and if you have poor management attitude, then you are likely to fail in this regard. And if you are unable to repay your debts, you are unable to even pay the interest on it as well, then you are not able to succeed in the real estate sector. Another challenge with this, the repayment terms are shorter than any other type of loan. That is another thing you must understand. That's why I said earlier that when you are obtaining a loan from any institution, you must ensure that the term which is granted to you is longer than the term you hope to complete the project at hand. Now, what you want to get to repay whatever you have borrowed is from that project that you are handling. It is upon the successful completion of the project that you have money to repay. It won't be nice that you borrow from Mr. A, then you borrow from Mr. B to repay Mr. A. That should not be the case. Once you borrow for a particular project, you should be able to complete it and pay from that project that you have completed. But because of the shortness of time within which you have to repay the loan amount, you may not be able to operate with debt financing effectively in the real estate sector. You must ensure to circumvent this, you must ensure that you are able to get long-term interest or long-term loan rather. You should be able to negotiate effectively to have a loan term that is longer than the duration for which you are to complete the contracts that you are handling. Then there is a high risk of foreclosure. This is one that comes up where there is securitization of your assets. Now, we said earlier for debentures, when you obtain that as a means of securing your loans, once it is securitized, that is, they take certain assets or a part of the asset of your company. Okay, we are going to take a particular project that you are working on. You have 3 building sites, and the agreement was, if I'm unable to pay, you can take this one or these 2 and leave the third one. And if that's the agreement that you have reached, once you fail to pay, they are going to foreclose you from even paying. Let's say the period is for 6 months, and at the end of 6 months you are unable to repay the loan, they may foreclose you. Foreclosure means they will stop you from paying the loan because time has lapsed, and once time has lapsed, they move into the property and take possession of it. You may have invested more than what you have borrowed, and if that's the case, that becomes a loss for you. That's another disadvantage of debt financing. Then creditors may request fixed asset as security for the loan sum. It's just the same as what we have just said earlier. If you don't have assets to use as security or collateral for the money you want to obtain as loan from certain institution, it becomes very difficult for you to operate on this debt financing that we have introduced to you today. It may also require credit rating. There are some persons, they want to check your credit record. How have you been repaying debts that you have incurred in the past? How soon do you usually pay? Do you wait until the 31st day of the month before you make any part or the entire sum? Is it the case that once you borrow, by 21st, you have already paid the part or you have paid the entire sum? Now, that's credit rating. People want to see how other companies or individuals who have done business with you in the past, how you have been able to repay and how they have scored you in terms of repayment. And if they discover that you are the type that pays maybe a day after the due date, or on the due date, that is when you pay, they may be skeptical in giving you any amount from their purse, especially when they know the clients that deposited that amount with them are persons who can call for their money at any time. Once that is the case, they may likely not give you any sum you are requesting for. How do you deal with this? Ensure you pay on time. If the due date is 17th of every month, ensure you pay either the whole sum or a part of it by 10th of each month. And once you have done that, even if it's just 10 naira that is left, ensure you pay before that due date. If that's the case, you may be able to negotiate lower interest rates. Let's say the interest rate has been 40% at the end of the year, and you always pay, let's say on the 8th month, then you can now go back to the table, negotiation table, and ask, okay, now you have seen that I am credit worthy and I pay before the due date. Can you reduce this interest by 2%, by 5%? That gives you negotiating power. Apart from that, it also helps you as a person to negotiate for a higher loan. Let's say what you have been given in the past has been 1 million naira, and because of your credit worthiness, you may be able to negotiate with them to increase it to 2 million or a higher sum, subject to the determination of the person that is giving you that sum. So that's how debt financing works. Debt financing is a way that you must go as a real estate practitioner. It shouldn't be that because you do not have all the resources in the world to begin, therefore you want to back out. No, that shouldn't be the case. As long as you have persons that can give you certain amount to start with, then you are good to go. And you must also ensure that you have the requisite skills. We talked about partnership the other time. If you don't have the skills, but you have that negotiating power, you have the contacts that you can meet with and get certain funds for your project, get someone who has the skills, and you bring in your contacts, then you can move forward in the real estate sector. Don't say because I don't have the skill I cannot succeed. Get someone who has the skills. Don't say because I don't have the contact I will not succeed. Get someone that has the contact and enhance your skills together. And the closing remark would be, ensure whatever loan you take, you pay long before the due date, and this gives you higher rating in credit rating. This is how far we can go today. Next week we'll continue another episode on this financing your real estate. That's what we'll be discussing for the next few weeks. Thanks for being a part of today's session. I remain Destiny Unoate Ijebo, and next time we'll discuss further. Follow us on all our social media platforms to get more of these updates that's come your way on this channel. Thank you.